I'm Jenneman. I'm the director of the Dennos Museum Center at Northwestern Michigan College in Traverse City. The exhibition comes out of a series of visits that I made to Daiichi Gallery in New York City. I encountered the gallery probably 3 years ago on a visit, and I was very impressed with the work that they were showing in the gallery that primarily focused on contemporary Japanese ceramic work at the time. Beatrice Chang, who is the director of the gallery, though, is from China. And she was exploring what was happening in terms of contemporary Chinese ceramic art at the same time that I met her. And over time, I began to see more and more of the contemporary Chinese work coming into the gallery. And so we began a conversation about the idea of putting together an exhibition of work by both the Chinese artists and the Japanese artists. She had been doing some of that at the gallery. And so it was really a suggestion on my part to her, and her willingness and interest in doing this that led to us bringing this exhibition together. After we had organized the show and brought it to the Dennos, a conversation I had with Marilyn Wheaton here led to my introducing her to the work, and she elected to want to bring the exhibition to the galleries here. And subsequently we explored other possibilities, and the exhibit will go on to the galleries at Wayne State University following the exhibit at Marshall Fredericks. The great experience of this exhibit for me has been that in the course of working with Daiichi on putting the show together, I had the opportunity to go to China last November. And I went for an entirely different reason. It was a personal trip, actually, to go to a concert that we had produced at the museum a few years earlier with Bob James and a group of musicians from the Shanghai Conservatory of Music. But in the process of making this trip, I worked with Daiichi to connect with some of the Chinese artists that I could connect with when I was in China, and this happened both in Shanghai and in Beijing. And in Beijing, I had the opportunity to connect with and meet Wan Lia. And we spent an afternoon together at his studio, that was a great experience to sit down with one of the artists and be taken around to see what was happening in the art world in China, in this artist village where he has his studio. First of all, it's a beautiful exhibit. And if you're at all interested in ceramic work and contemporary ceramic work, from that standpoint, you will probably see things that are different than you would see coming to a contemporary ceramic work exhibition of American artists. Obviously, the traditions are different, and particularly in the case of the artists from China, the whole post-cultural revolution period, the opening up of China, the opportunity for artists from China to connect with the Western world and to be somewhat influenced by it, while at the same time finding their own voice, a new voice, for statements in their art world, both in ceramics and in other media, I think make it an interesting exhibit to see, because I think when you think of China and Japan, probably to some extent, you might have a much more stereotypical view of what you might expect the work to be than what you will see when you actually get here. Both traditions, both artists from Japan and China, do draw upon the traditions of their culture and the way that ceramic work has been done for centuries. But some of the artists take it to the next level or draw upon some of the traditions, but the subject matter and the way they present those traditions is much different. The process was really a matter of, again, as I say, working with Daiichi Gallery and pieces that they felt were most representative or a broad representation of what was happening in both countries. In the Japanese section, you see work that very much comes out of the tradition, but then you see some contemporary expression that may still hold some of the tradition or be stepping away from the tradition. In the case of China, it was looking at the artists who were really making it on the international scene and were perhaps offering some of the most interesting statements and expression. And so it was looking at those components that brought this show together the way that it is. I think what I hope they go away, having seen the exhibit, having a different perspective on the nature of ceramic art from both traditions. The Japanese artists, there are artists that were influenced by the avant-garde movement in Japanese ceramics that came after World War II. You will encounter artists that have been influenced by anime and that sort of Japanese cartoon character look. And in the case of the Chinese artist, I think the sense of expression of statement about the changing country in which they live, and the expression of some social concerns, perhaps some political concerns, and some response to the westernization of their country. No, I guess I would go back and say, again, in the case of China, which has been the opportunity that I've had the most to work with here, is to really encourage people to think about going there. If you've not been to China, it is an amazing country to visit. What is happening in the big cities of Shanghai and Beijing, they are very much like, in many respects, like being in New York or Chicago. It's a capitalistic society. The opportunity to buy anything that you buy in a mall at Water Tower Place in Chicago, you can buy at a similar mall in Shanghai these days. But what impresses me the most is the energy of the people. Who have gone through great political upheaval in recent decades, and now are making this transformation to a much more open society, heavily influenced by the West, and they are a very energetic people responding to all of these changes, and really the country of the 21st century in many respects.